This is a place where upsets have happened over the years. It's the South Plains of West Texas, the home of Texas Tech University, where tonight the number 10 ranked team in the country, Thomas Robinson, National Player of the Year candidate and 10 double-doubles, comes to Texas Tech to meet one of the top freshmen in the Big 12, Jordan Tolbert. It's Texas Tech hosting Kansas tonight in the Big 12. It's Wednesday Night Hoops on ESPNU. Tonight in the Big 12 in the South Plains, United Spirit Arena, Lubbock, Texas, the home of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. The number 10 Kansas Jayhawks look to move on in the Big 12 and take care of business tonight. And good evening, everyone. I'm Mitch Holtis, along with former national champion Miles Simon. Kansas continues to pass tests. Able to beat Kansas State at home. They went on the road at Oklahoma. What about the test that presents itself tonight to KU?
Well, the test that's going to present itself is Texas Tech is one of the toughest, hard-nosed teams in the conference. They're a young team, but Billy Gillespie has them playing hard. They took Baylor down to the wire last game out. But for Kansas, anytime you're getting in this conference, now it's a true round-robin format, you're going to have to bring it every night, especially on the road.
And Billy Gillespie's back in the Big 12. Bill Self's back in the top 10, and they're back in the same gym looking at each other.
Well, let's remember, these two guys are the best of friends. Bill Self hired Billy Gillespie when he got the job at Tulsa. Billy Gillespie helped recruit the state of Texas for Coach Self there. He took him to Illinois. They were very successful going to Elite Eights at Tulsa in Illinois. Last year, Gillespie, when he was out of coaching, spent time in Lawrence, Kansas, observing practice and games, but they'll battle it out tonight on the hardwood.
And Miles, this is not a deep Kansas team for Bill Self, but they got some guys stepping up. Travis Relaford is the reigning Big 12 Player of the Week. 28, a career high against Oklahoma. That was on top of a double-double against K-State. All eyes will be on Tyshawn Taylor tonight. And with these, a great compliment to Robinson inside. And for the Red Raiders, 7 freshmen on this team, only 1 senior. That's Kansas City native Robert Lewandowski. Javaris Bean Willis has to have a big game tonight for Tech to have a chance for Billy Gillespie to pull the upset. And it's game on in the Big 12. The first possession will be Texas Tech's. Kansas has been good defensively as always. 8 of the 15 opponents for KU have scored 58 points or less.
Well, they're a great defensive team. They have great athletes and they have great size at each position. But watch for Texas Tech. They really want to get the ball down low to number 32, Jordan Tolbert, their leading scorer.
Willis trying to use the Lewandowski screen. And 7 to shoot. Willis, a deep 3. That's way offline. Bad miss and a hustle pickup by Elijah Johnson.
Well, really a poor offensive possession. Didn't get anything out of their set. Then they settled for a long jumper. Never even penetrated inside of the three-point line.
Kansas starts with their weave. They love to use it up top. Relaford, little give and go to the 7-footer. Withy spins in trouble and blocked by Petaway. Kansas will keep it with 14 to shoot. Bill Self, where do you start? 7 straight conference titles, the 08 national title, but he's won everywhere he's been, and they haven't been easy places. He won at Oral Roberts, Tulsa, Illinois. Elite 8 at Tulsa, Elite 8 at Illinois. Of course, national championship at Kansas. Won 21 games at Oral Roberts when they were an independent. Robinson didn't like it. Johnson tries. That's as bad as Texas Tech's miss as he was nearing a shot clock violation.
Well, Tech did a great job on the defensive end on the play before when it went out of bounds. The rotation on the backside on the pick and roll was excellent, something they really went over in practice yesterday.
Now, listen, these are almost mirrored images because both Billy Gillespie and Bill Self run similar things, do they not?
Yeah, you'll see them both get into a high-low set, really utilizing Tolbert and Lewandowski for Tech, and then Robinson and Withy for the Jayhawks.
Again, the shot clock dwindling down. Bean Willis trying to get something. Blows around Robinson and gets the high layup off the square.
Better recognition by Bean Willis there that he had Robinson on for the 2nd straight possession. Gets all the way to the rack.
Got a steal, Nurse. Tech will not quit trigger. High-low, well covered up by Thomas Robinson. Looks like he's seen it before. So Texas Tech using shot clock on all 3 of their possessions thus far. Tolbert posting up. He gives away a lot of height to Withy. Resets, 5 on the shot clock. Willis again, same spot, 2 layups in a row.
Well, what they've exposed, and Bill Self not happy with Thomas Robinson right now. Robinson is a much better athlete, and he's letting him know about that. Robinson should be able to move his feet and be able to stay in front of Willis.
30-second timeout, Jayhawks.
They see it every day in practice because they use this same scheme.
Yeah, but what they do at the end of the shot clock defensively, Kansas is going to switch everything, every pick and roll at the last 5 seconds. So the last 2 possessions, Willis gets the switch, exploits the mismatch, and gets to the rim with the finish.
Now, does T-Rod give him more room? You said move his feet, but he's up on like he bodied him, and Willis blew by him twice.
Well, he doesn't need to get more room. Thomas Robinson's one of the best athletes in the country. He needs to get down lower in a stance. He can use his length and gap him a little bit more and have his arm up, but then he has to be able to cut him off on that drive.
Miles, Kansas blocks 6 shots per game. Between Withy and Robinson, it's hard to score at the goal on these guys.
Yeah, but Withy was pulled out in that situation by the big guy. That's why he was not around the rim to block the shot.
See if Kansas can answer. Tech started like this against Baylor Saturday. Thomas Robinson gets it in there. You know it's going to be good. Robinson with the great seal inside, and Kansas has its first points.
Great job. Thomas Robinson does an excellent job of utilizing angles. He gets his guy on the high side, rides him up. Great teaching by assistant coach Danny Manning, one of the best post teachers in the country.
Yeah, these posts at Kansas get better every year. Nice reach in by Elijah Johnson. Swats it out, and Texas Tech will keep it with 20 to shoot. Billy Clyde Gillespie, a builder. I don't know what else to tell you about him. He's just a hoopaholic. He takes UTEP from 6-24 to 24-8 in 1 year. He made A&M basketball something to be proud of, including a win at Allen Fieldhouse. Bill Self's only lost at Allen Fieldhouse 7 times, including once to A&M and Billy Gillespie when he coached there. The hustle by Tolbert forces Withy to knock it out in Texas Tech. Withy must have got hit on the head there a little bit. Seems to be bothered, and Texas Tech will put it in play with a fresh shot clock. But Billy Gillespie credits. He took a shot to the head. Billy Gillespie credits Bill Self really with his career. Inside, Tolbert to score on an inbounds play.
Right now, Kansas looks a little bit flat. Defensively, they've given up 3 layups in the first 4 possessions. Kansas has to wake up on the road, or else they're going to be in for a dogfight.
Taylor, nice drive inside, but leaves it way short. Airballs it in the middle of the lane. Tech will push early, but they like to run clock here, and that's what Willis will do.
Texas Tech, one of the more slow-playing teams in the country, only get up 48 field goal attempts per game.
But they shoot a great field goal percentage. They're tied for 2nd in the league. A little give and go, and Lewandowski turns it over. He had 6 turnovers Saturday against Baylor in a game that I had, and they started like this against Baylor. They just weren't able to finish the job.
And I'm okay with that turnover. Billy Gillespie, I know he doesn't want to lose possession of the basketball, but when it's a dead ball turnover, that doesn't allow the Jayhawks to get out in transition.
Robinson, I've seen him hit this shot this year. That one's spinning out. There's going to be a, what do you got, out of bounds off of Justin Wesley of Kansas. The Texas Tech able to score in an inbounds play, and that'll drive Bill Self crazy. So far, Texas Tech has come to play. Texas Tech has lost only once at home this year, and that was Saturday to undefeated Baylor. Tonight they lead 6-2. As Coach Joe Dooley talking to Thomas Robinson. But Kansas has been one of the better teams in the country at entering the post for a long time.
Well, they do a great job of creating angles. And we see the swing pass right here from Withy to Taylor. Freeze it right there. You see Thomas Robinson gets his guy on the high side, does a great job of playing the angle, and then Tyshawn Taylor's job is to deliver that ball right at the bottom corner of the backboard where Robinson has a great angle to finish the layup. They drill that every day in practice with Coach Danny Manning from that post-entry pass, sealing their guy, finishing at the basket.
I want to ask you, though, I hear both of these coaches talk about a post player defending. Did Lewandowski get caught standing straight up there a little bit?
He was a little bit straight up, but Thomas Robinson's a strong guy. He pushed him out. He forced him to get higher because Robinson did a good job of getting low. And let's notice a change right here for Kansas. Both post players, Jeff Withy, Thomas Robinson, out within the first 4 minutes of the game. Young and Wesley in. I don't think Bill Self was very happy with the post defense of those guys. Thomas Robinson surrendered all 6 points.
Going back to your point, though, about Kansas passing, you know, they get 34 field goals a game, off 16 assists. Well, they do a very good pass.
Yeah, obviously they do a great job of sharing the basketball. Taylor, Johnson, Tehan.
Right now, Bill Self isn't worried about passing. He's worried about defending Texas Tech. And again, single digits on the shot clock.
And you see the switch again.
Willis, another layup and another bucket. 3 layups for Javaris Bean Willis right at the goal.
And you like Willis's recognition. The clock has been run down. At the last 5 seconds, Kansas is going to switch all pick and rolls, and that puts a post guy on a point guard.
Wesley and Young are now the post as Johnson, a great look at a 3, but leaves it long. Johnson, who had 4 threes against UCLA, only 30% from bonus distance so far this year. Now Tolbert, they try to throw it to him, and Lewandowski's got his second turnover of the first 5 minutes of the game. And that's going to bring him out.
Billy Gillespie. And for the Red Raiders, number 30, Jay Crockett.
As Jay Crockett comes in, one of the 3 returning players, and there's a little chat between Billy Gillespie and Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah, he just wants him to take care of the basketball. That pass was about a 22-foot pass, tough angle from the top to bottom there, and Tolbert didn't have a definite layup.
Possession's a premium, of course, against the number 10 team of the country. So Whitney and Robinson right back into the game after a brief little attitude session. Foul on Texas Tech.
Pettaway makes a mistake there defensively. All he needs to do is move his feet against Relaford. He doesn't slide over, and he wants to reach. Well, those are teaching points that Coach Gillespie goes over every day. And now the crowd, and especially Coach Gillespie, can't believe that it was a shooting foul. It looked like it was on the floor to me, Mitch.
And Travis Relaford, what a story he's been for Kansas. He's 10 of 11 at the line, by the way, in Big 12 play. Just kind of fits in with the rest of his game. You saw him against North Dakota. He was really good in that game. Then he went to another level against K-State and yet another level against Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's the reigning Big 12 player of the week, double figures in 3 straight games. Had a career-high 28 points against Oklahoma.
And was 9 of 13, very efficient in that 28 against the Sooners. Wasn't like he was putting up 20 shots to get 28 points. Texas Tech with the early lead here, showing the effort that Billy Gillespie wants. Willis, little quick entry, and with he's fouling from behind. Tom Eads is going to call the first foul on Kansas and on the 7-foot junior from San Diego. And a little bit of a Bronx cheer from the Texas Tech crowd. They said, give him 2 shots. Not a big crowd tonight, but they're trying to make themselves known. This is Ty Nurse, played in the Junior College Championship last year. In fact, against Pierre Jackson at Baylor. Quick double on Tolbert.
And look how much respect Kansas shows Jordan Tolbert. They double team a freshman on the catch 12 feet away from the basket. That's how well this young man has been playing for the Red Raiders.
Kansas trying to get something in transition. And a hustle play by Jay Crockett going around the hip that time of Robinson to knock it out.
He didn't give up on the play. He didn't allow Robinson to seal him underneath the basket on the rim run. Excellent job by Crockett.
How big is transition defense tonight for Texas Tech?
Well, it's going to be huge because Kansas wants to get out and run, score as many points as they can in transition for Texas Tech and set up half-court defense.
Tyshawn Taylor, nice take in the lane, but the second time he's missed from point-blank range right in the middle of the lane. He did not have a point here last year in 25 minutes. High hook shot missing from the freshman Jordan Tolbert.
I like the look. He gets the shot up before the double team could come from Robinson in that instance.
Relaford, this is a shot he didn't make it for a week. Travis Relaford, 6 of 10 from 3-point range so far in the 3 Big 12 games. And Billy Gillespie wants timeout. And he's going to incur wrath not only on his team, but wants some explanations from Tom Eads.
Relaford been the hottest guy in the league. Obviously, we talk about the 28 points against OU, but he's playing with a foot strain. When he comes into practices and shoot-arounds, he's walking around with a boot on his foot.
Saturday, ESPNU is a full day of college basketball starting at noon Eastern as St. Bonaventure, fresh off their win over George Washington, and Andrew Nicholson takes on visiting Xavier. Then at 2 o'clock, Big East rivals collide. Ashton Gibbs and Pitt will try to get a win as they beat or try to meet battle Darius Johnson Odom and number 24 Marquette, who had a big win tonight. Then the Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy on ESPNU, ESPN3, as well as streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. And by the way, don't forget the studio show Saturday morning on ESPNU with my man Miles Simon.
Saturday evening studio show, SportsCenter U, halftime wraps.
You were great last week, buddy. I was watching. You get your own little like 60-inch flat screen, and you're moving teams around like crazy. It's like, that's my guy.
I appreciate it, man.
Good studio show. Great stuff for you follow Division I hoops. Kansas with the 3 from Relaford within 1. Crockett, he's going to launch it. A scramble for the loose ball and a foul on Kansas as Texas Tech shows some hustle trying to get an offensive board.
Well, what I love there, Jordan Tolbert, he's battling 4 blue uniforms in there by himself, gets the foul called. Excellent persistence by the freshman.
But Texas Tech was showing discipline early before the under 16. They've shot it quick here the last couple of times. Is it quicker than they want to shoot it?
Well, no, they've gotten good looks, so they have to take those. They don't want to necessarily run it down to 5 seconds every time. Those were cases of good Kansas defense.
Robinson, Tehan, three-point specialist in the corner, not there. He's been better at home than on the road. And Relaford, he's been good everywhere. Robinson gets pulled down. Kansas will argue maybe for an intentional, but not. And Robinson might be a little bit. Took a shot to the neck.
32, Jordan Tolbert.
It was on the freshman Tolbert. He kind of got pulled down awkwardly here.
Well, look at the Jayhawks crashing the glass. You see 2 bodies there. Robinson being active. Robinson comes in the picture late. Tehan coming in there to battle. You love to see 4 Jayhawks, 4 blue uniforms outnumbering the Red Raiders on the offensive glass.
I tweeted yesterday, I put the question out there, is Thomas Robinson the strongest Kansas Jayhawk ever? And it got a lot of traffic, as you might guess. Here were some of the responses. Jeff Graves, Wilt Chamberlain, Art Housey, Richard Scott, Paul Pierce, Wayne Simeon, the Big Dub, Greg Ostertag, Alonzo Jamison, among others.
But one guy we didn't talk about is Sharon Collins, who was really essentially not allowed to lift weights his last year because he would get too big because he was so strong in the weight room.
And you knew the strength and conditioning coaches said was the best, the strongest? The Morris twins. They said those 2 and Collins in recent years were the strongest Jayhawks ever. Nurse tries to crank a 3, not there. And Kansas on a little bit of a run here, tying it at 8. Relaford, good ball fake, and Nurse throws a hip into him.
Foul number 4, Ty Nurse. And for the Jayhawks, number 10, Tyshawn.
Well, this is such an underrated tool in basketball, is the shot fake. Because Relaford's knocking down the 3 at a high clip as of late, Nurse had to close out hard to him, and Relaford draws that contact.
We saw his brother Trevor with Alabama when he was in Kansas City. He's the leader of that team for the Crimson Tide at point guard. Both out of Miege High School in Kansas City. Taylor, great take, but leaves it on a kind of a crazy angle. This is going to whom? It's going to be off Thomas Robinson in Kansas. Tied at 8 at the under 12 timeout. It's teacher versus student. Bill Self hired Billy Gillespie to be his assistant at Tulsa. Things have never been the same. Tied at 8 here in Lubbock on our ESPNU Wednesday night hoops in the Big 12. Bill Self and Billy Gillespie. Billy Gillespie was an assistant at Baylor, and then Doc Sadler said, hey, you need to hire this guy. And so he went from Baylor to Tulsa, and here they are.
Yeah, well, what happened was Bill Self got the job in July at Tulsa, came from Oral Roberts, and then he needed a recruiter, somebody that could recruit Texas really well and get him up to Tulsa. And Doc Sadler and Bob Marlin recommended Billy Gillespie, who was at Baylor at the time. They actually talked for 5 minutes on the phone. They didn't know each other. Bill Self offers him the job. He says, do you need to come up to Tulsa and see it? He says, nope, I just need a few T-shirts, because Gillespie had been on the road recruiting, wearing his Baylor stuff. He goes down, clears out his office at Baylor, Gets a couple T-shirts sent to him. Tulsa shirts. 2 days later, he's on the road recruiting in the Tulsa shirts.
You know what? It was common repeated when Billy got his first head coaching job, because 9 days before the season began, Billy Gillespie got the UTEP job, and that's when Billy was with Bill Self at Illinois. That set a chain reaction of events throughout Division I basketball, but that's when Gillespie got his shot to be a head coach. He was 9 days into the UTEP job. He went 6-24. The next year he went 24-8 and took the Miners to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and then speaking of that Texas recruiting connection, when they went to Illinois together, Billy Gillespie had seen Darren Williams, a young Darren Williams, when they were at Tulsa. They continued to recruit him. They got him to go to Illinois. That helped propel Illinois, obviously, to the national title game in 2005. Darren Williams said he really signed at Illinois because of Billy Gillespie.
Almost a 5-count. Relaford putting the heat on Nurse. Crockett spinning, sped up. And a rebound for Kansas, as Travis Relaford has it for the Jayhawks. Only 2 guys have scored for Kansas, Relaford and Robinson, only 2 for Tech. And now Tehan trying to launch from 3. A scramble. This is on Thomas Robinson inside. Tom Eads is going to call the first foul of the night on Thomas Robinson.
Mitch, for that whole possession, Crockett and Robinson were battling down low, body to body, pushing and shoving. But when the shot went up, that's when the referee, Tom Eads, he saw the contact, and Robinson gets called for the foul.
I did a blog for the Big 12 website. It's going to go up, I believe, next week. But I have my all WWF Big 12 team. My captain is Thomas Robinson.
I think you got to have maybe Royce White on that team.
He's co-captain. They play each other Saturday at Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence. But you know what? Texas Tech, I saw this Saturday against Baylor. They didn't back down from Baylor's bigs either. They're not doing that tonight, even though this is a young Tech team.
Well, they take on the mentality of their coach. When you watch practice yesterday, Billy Gillespie has them high speed, high intensity practices. They go hard, they bang around. They model, they mirror what Billy Gillespie preaches.
Tech again going to try to free up Bean Willis. He had 6 early points. 4 to shoot. Nurse has got to launch. Block. Shot clock violation. And Kansas has amped up the defense here over the last couple of minutes.
Elijah Johnson for Travis Relaford.
Kansas on the road, 2-0. They won at Oklahoma Saturday, then won at USC. Jayhawks back to the weave, then somebody's going to turn the corner. They enter the post. There's a reach in and a foul on Javaris Willis.
Elijah Johnson has become such a good three-point shooter. Sometimes he forgets that he can get in the lane and penetrate. He was looking past there to Withy when he actually had an open 15-foot jump shot.
Tech has not scored since the 15-19 mark, so they're working on 5 minutes without a bucket. Billy Gillespie has been given a bench warning by this officiating crew. Tom Eads, James Breeding, and Larry Spalding. I don't think that's going to deter Billy Clyde over there. It's a detention, stay after school. Withy trying to post up on Crockett.
Well, look at the job Crockett and Tolbert are doing down low.
Withy, good hustle for Kansas. Who's going to get this? Kansas keeps it, and it's all because of the hustle by Jeff Withy. Here's your detention handed out.
I love it. If you can read lips, he said whatever. He's not really worried about the warning too much.
What are they going to do? Switch this call here? Or no, foul. I think we got a technical call. A technical foul on Texas Tech. Tyshawn Taylor gets his first point of the game on the technical foul. And Kansas has a lead. So Billy Gillespie gets the technical foul, we're told. And now Billy does have to be careful. That's more in an after-school detention.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be ejected from a game like this. But sometimes when a coach gets a technical, it can spark your team on a run, give them some momentum.
There's the kick. You know, and there was a point of emphasis on bench decorum really the last couple of years. And so he had been given the warning. So now he's getting a traffic ticket. Taylor just got the 2 foul shots, and sometimes that gets a guy going when he gets to shoot 2 technical free throws.
And Tyshawn Taylor, he's really become more of a point guard this year. He came in as a combo guard out of St. Anthony High School in New Jersey, but now really able to run a team.
Tech now working on 6 minutes without a bucket. Crockett trying to get something against Wesley, and he's going to the line. And Justin Wesley's got his 2nd foul. 4 team fouls on Kansas as Wesley, the Lamar transfer.
At the line, Jay Crockett shooting 2.
Jay Crockett from Clovis, New Mexico, Clovis High School, the 2nd leading scorer in Clovis history. Fell one point short of behind assistant coach Bubba Jennings. That's on the Texas Tech bench.
A Sunday night, ESPNU is your home for ACC hoops. This week, Seth Curry and the #6 Duke Blue Devils visit Clemson and Andre Young, Tanner Smith. ACC Sunday Night Basketball presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups on ESPNU, ESPN3, as well as streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app at 6 Eastern. Coverage begins with the ACC Sunday Night pregame show at 5:30.
Duke, a team that's been struggling as of late, lost to Temple, struggled at Georgia Tech, got out rebounded in both games.
And Withy gets his first 2, hovering above the rim, and Kansas back to a 4-point lead at the 9:09 mark of the first half. Tolbert had 2 early, man. He's not shying from Withy. You know, that's going to get blocked. Withy leads the Big 12 in blocks. Has 9 more than the 2nd closest guy in the league. And then he comes right back at him.
You love the fearlessness of Tolbert.
Taylor turns it over, and Menace is going to get a layup. Game time. Tyshawn Taylor came into the game. Uh-oh, we got a warning and a technical foul here. Petaway.
Well, what Petaway did, Mitch, when Relaford tried to get that ball out of bounds, Petaway tried to contest the pass, but you cannot touch a guy or the ball when the ball is out of bounds. It wasn't anything malicious that Petaway did. He wasn't talking trash, or he didn't push Relaford down on purpose. They just got tangled up, and he touched Relaford and the basketball as Relaford was out of bounds. And here, Menace makes the great play on the steal, the finish. And then you can't be out of bounds and touch the guy as he's trying to inbounds. That's an automatic technical.
Yeah, it's a great call by Tom Eads. And that's really not even a judgment. I mean, that's an easy call for Tom to make.
Yeah, and I think that's just Petaway trying to play hard, and he's a freshman, and he's caught up in the atmosphere right now. Just lost his head for a second there.
And Relaford is 68% at the line, 3 of 4 tonight. 68 for the year, and here you go.
A little bit of an acting job by Relaford on falling down, but Petaway did touch the ball and Relaford when he was out of bounds, which is the automatic technical.
And his hands came across that plane. He was clearly across the plane of the out-of-bounds line, going straight up. So
and you hate to see that for Texas Tech because they were on a roll. They had just scored 4 straight points, 2 by Tolbert and 2 on the steal by Menace.
Johnson. Young not anticipating the pass. As Johnson trying to deliver it underneath. Tech looks at early offense. Lewandowski trying to post up against Withy. Instead, Tech will reset. Down by 1.
Tech's been best when they try to get the ball into the paint by penetration or pass. Don't settle for jump shots.
High low. Lewandowski, 3 turnovers in his first half.
Telegraphed it.
There's a problem now. Taylor wide open at the foul line, and that rolls off. Tyshawn Taylor's had a tough first half. Got Crockett in trouble.
Texas Tech, their offense tends to get really stagnant when Tolbert's not in the game. He's their go-to guy. Now they don't have anyone to look for right now with such a young squad.
Plus, they don't have Bean Willis out there, but he's going to get bailed out. Biggie Minnis gets bailed out going to the basket. So Kansas plays great defense, but at the end of the shot clock, the Jayhawks foul. Texas Tech is fighting tonight in Lubbock.
Today, Schroff with his Sports Center U in-game. Missouri coming off its first loss of the season. That was at Kansas State. Visiting Iowa State. Matt Pressey, he's got 14 points right now. But Mizzou only up by 3. And how about this? Kentucky seeking its first road win of the year. They're tied with Auburn midway through the second half.
Welcome back to Lubbock, Texas. Number 10, Kansas in a scrap here as they lead Texas Tech 15-14 with 7:24 to go in the first half. All right, let's take a look at our ESPN top 10. What jumps off the page is the Big 12 owns this page right now.
Yeah, if you look at Baylor, they've been obviously tremendous. And I think everyone talks about Perry Jones III on that team. But the guy that I love is Pierre Jackson, who was the National Junior College Player of the Year last year at College of Southern Idaho. He's averaging double-figure points, shooting nearly 48% from the three-point line. He kind of really carries that team. He had a big shot against West Virginia to send a game into overtime, hit a game winner against Mississippi State. Obviously, Kansas and Missouri playing very well. And let's not forget about Kansas State, who took Baylor down to the wire last night. Rodney Magruder with a huge game, 30 points.
But a giant win for Baylor. And Big Ten would say, wait a minute, we got ownership because they got 3 on that page too. But you mentioned Pierre Jackson. He bailed out Baylor here in that game Saturday. When they needed it, he came up big and strong. Him and Heslop both. The Heslop kid, the Canadian kid that's shooting threes for him.
I think they have some of the best balance that Scott Drew has had in his tenure there at Baylor.
Kevin Young saves the possession, and Relaford leaves it short on the 3. Kansas now 1 of 6 from three-point range. Relaford's got the only make.
Coach Self not happy with the shot selection down there. Really stood up off the bench. Can't believe what we're doing.
And a 3, Petaway just launching. See if Kansas gets something in transition. 6:43 mark. Tech has this game where they want it pace-wise.
Not a lot of scoring punch on the floor for the Jayhawks. I know Relaford's been hot lately, but Taylor and Robinson, the 2 leading scorers on the bench.
Young, this would be a bonus too, although he was great against Ohio State when he had 14 against the Buckeyes at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas is 4 of 17 from the field at 23%. Lewandowski, the high-low this time, and throws it away again. Relaford runs the floor and awarded for his efforts.
Well, Lewandowski's not a great passer. That's now the 3rd time he's thrown away that high-low pass. He might have to step in and shoot the jump shot, which he was open on that. And then there's no recovery, no defensive balance. The point guard, Minnis, doesn't get back because he was on the wing.
Kansas back to a 1-point lead, and right now Relaford again saving the day. He's got 7 of the 17 Kansas points. Lewandowski attacks on Withy. Crockett open and drains it. First field goal for Jay Crockett. He had 11 in 23 minutes Saturday in that game against Baylor here. Relaford, great look. And he's got double figures again. 10 points for Relaford, the 4th straight game he's been in double figures.
When we talked to Coach Self earlier today at practice, he said the biggest thing with Travis Relaford has been confidence. And you can tell he's coming off screens now. They're getting some sets for him, and he's knocking them down at a high clip.
Biggie Minnis gets inside and gets swatted away, but Tech keeps it. Crockett kind of feeling it, and Griffey gets another block. Withy now is either going to block it or change it. He had 9 blocks against Long Beach State and 6 against K-State.
Well, you watch Relaford come off the staggered screens, gets his feet set, excellent arc on the shot, great legs. Great job by Relaford being prepared to shoot that basketball.
His numbers, you see what he averages per game. And tonight he's got 11 of the 20 Kansas points. Where would they be without Travis Relaford tonight?
And Mitch, I think we have to make a correction on that, what we called was a technical foul on Pettaway. The official Tom Eads came over to us during the break. He said anytime you foul a player that's out of bounds, it's a flagrant one foul. So there was no technical foul on Teran Pettaway.
Some autographed basketball signed by Coach Gillespie, a Red Raiders gift bag, and a pregame photo on the floor of the United Spirit Arena.
There's Withy again with another block. Trying to figure out where the foul is. There's a look at Teran Pettaway, the freshman from Galveston Ball High School. So Pettaway pulls down Tehan.
Oh, you see the elbow.
Yeah.
And that's up above the shoulders.
And they're going to the monitor.
Yep.
So Teran Pettaway with a couple of lapses in judgment here for Texas Tech. And Kansas, for the most part, has been able to take advantage of it. 3 of 4 on technical free throws in the first half. But you see Tom Eads taking a look at it here at United Spirit Arena. It's interesting, Texas Tech. So let's take a look at it again. Yeah, that's above the elbow. That's not going to be hard for these guys to make that decision either.
And that should be a flagrant 2 foul, maliciously with the elbow, above contact above the shoulders by Pettaway.
Here's another look, different angle.
First he throws Tehan out of the way, and clearly almost really a punch thrown. This could be called for ejection. And you see assistant coach Jeff Kidder over there talking to Pettaway.
So a lapse in judgment.
Well, it's a young man who's let his emotions get the best of him. Very excited, pumped up to play. National TV, top 10 team, your first time. But you have to control yourself a little bit more. You're not going to get away with that with top flight officiating crews, and especially in the wide open area.
And again, another point of emphasis. And it's been a couple of years now in college basketball where there's just zero tolerance right now, Miles, for this kind of foul. And that's why they want to get it right. And where they closely go to the monitor, and it's getting explained out of the scores table. So Tom Eads, the veteran official, and he's going to call both Bill himself and Billy Gillespie in to inform them of the verdict.
Yeah, and this could be a flagrant 2 personal foul. It's a foul that involves contact with an opponent that's not only excessive but also severe or extreme while the ball is live.
So Tehan is going to shoot foul shots. He's 79%. And what are they going to do with Pettaway? They may ask him to leave the arena. They will. So Teran Pettaway has been ejected for the evening, which also means he misses the next game for Texas Tech. And Tehan, who's usually money at the line. But a lesson learned by the freshman from Galveston, Texas, for Billy Gillespie's team. But when you look at the video, there's really nothing to argue if you're Texas Tech. And college basketball is one to clean up that kind of play for the last couple of years. Zero tolerance. So now Kansas has a 4-point lead. With the high-low with Robinson, with half the student body of Texas Tech surrounding Relaford. The call, step back 3. Nurse, offensive foul. And that's an easy call to make. That's a second foul on Nurse.
Yeah, I know the fans are unhappy, but that was an easy call. Tehan did a great job of moving his feet, getting in front of Nurse. Easy push off. He extends the forearm. Excellent call by the official.
Yeah, but you mentioned Tech's emotions getting the best of them. They've come at it with great effort in this game.
Well, you want to see that. That's something Coach Gillespie has been preaching to these guys. Just toughness and energy, and you know that's what you're going to get with the Gillespie coach team.
And Robinson's going to get a tip in, but I think Tech touched it last. I think Jordan Tolbert might have tipped it in for Kansas, but Robinson will get the 2. But now they're down 6 because Texas Tech has not been able to control its emotions. There's been a bench technical on Billy Gillespie, a flagrant 2 foul, and an ejection on Teron Petaway. But Jordan Tolbert tipped that in.
Yeah, he did. And Thomas Robinson was just battling him, but Tolbert definitely got his hand on that basketball. Unfortunate bounce for the Red Raiders.
A College Game Day is coming from Florida State. Game day is going to be at Florida State Saturday morning. The Seminoles are 8-1 at home. Michael Snare, Bernard James get a preview of all the day's games live from the site. The number 3 North Carolina Tar Heels are going to Tallahassee. So game day at Tallahassee, covered by State Farm on ESPNU Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leonard Hamilton will have them ready to defend in that game.
And they better be ready to defend. They want to stop the fast break. And Florida State has been an Achilles heel in the league for Duke and Carolina in the past few years.
But I want to ask you, Texas Tech again, playing with effort and emotion, but almost too much emotion. It's gotten to them. Is that a freshman mistake? Crockett to the glass. Rebound by Young for Kansas.
Well, I think they're just battling. They're trying to play hard, and their emotions got the best of them on a few plays here. But they're trying to play physical, and like I said, they're mirroring what Coach Gillespie has been teaching them in practice and his kind of attitude.
Tolbert's fouling, trying to get around Withey. The 6'7" Tolbert gives up a lot of room for the 7-footer Withey, but Kansas trying to get some distance on Billy Gillespie's team.
ESPNU is home for the passionate college basketball fan as our experts break down the top 25 in a weekly 3-hour special.
Catch, face, and make a play.
From the teams on the rise, stars shining the brightest, and everything in between, our panel has you covered.
They have a terrific front line, a pro front line.
Watford for the win! Yes! Yes!
The Experts, Tuesdays at 1 on ESPNU.
Coming up at halftime, we will take you live. We're monitoring 4 games right now. We'll take you to the most compelling action. Missouri and Iowa State. That's a 2-possession game in the final minute. And Kentucky only leading Auburn by 5. We may go there as well. All that coming up at halftime.
A look at Danny Manning, who led Kansas to the 1988 national championship, and then Thomas Robinson, the national player of the weekend. Tough night for T-Rob. You saw him when he had 30 points and 21 rebounds. The first 30-20 for Kansas since Wayne Hightower in '61, and that's when they were passing out rebounds like M&Ms at the company Christmas party. But Manning, and you mentioned he's carried over what he did as a player to being a teacher of post players.
He's an excellent teacher. He's a guy that should be in line for a head coaching job sometime in the near future. What he's done with guys like Cole Aldridge, the Morris twins last year, Thomas Robinson now having a breakout season. His teaching, his time, Thomas Robinson really credits him a lot for almost being a father figure in his life. He said they spent a lot of time watching film together, working out one-on-one, shooting. And Danny Manning said his skill set, Thomas Robinson's known for his energy and effort, but Danny Manning says he has one of the best skill sets in ball handling, passing, and shooting that he's worked with.
Withey, 1 of 2 at the line, which is news because he's 31 of 36 at the foul line. One of the more understated stories for Kansas this year, that the 7-footer that good at the line after being 52% earlier in his career at the foul stripe. Kansas leads by 7. This is their biggest lead of the first half at the 3-minute mark. Crockett over Withey. Tough shot by Jay Crockett.
And because of Withey's length and his shot blocking ability, that made Crockett put more arc on that basketball, allowing for the soft touch.
And a foul. Crockett holding underneath on Kevin Young.
Well, here Minnis just loses the ball. Crockett right place, right time. But he has to put a little bit extra arc on that because the 7-footer Withey is outstretched. But good hit by Crockett.
Double bonus now for Kansas. First foul on Jay Crockett. You get an assist if you drop kick it to your teammate?
If you're at home.
Okay. Do you have any of those at Arizona?
I probably did. I probably kicked a couple to Jason Terry or Mike Bibby.
Smart that you kicked it for them. Yeah, Ty Nurse needing some medical attention over there. Billy Gillespie's just not been enthralled since this game began. There's Nurse, the junior college transfer, played at Midland. Little deep pants over there. Back on the floor. Young's going to get 2 foul shots for Kansas.
Young's a guy who's provided some nice backup minutes for the Jayhawks. He's a transfer from Loyola Marymount, where he averaged 10 points and 6 rebounds a game. His numbers are down here because you're obviously playing behind Robinson and Wivey. But he had 14 points against Ohio State earlier this season.
Free throw line is saving Kansas somewhat, even though Young 1 of 2 there. They're 28% from the field. They've made 7 field goals, and they're 10 of 14 now at the foul line. Back to a 6-point lead. Mitch Holtis with you, along with former national champion Miles Simon. Lewandowski inside, and Withey with good defense. Lewandowski yet to score. Taylor, good take inside, and tips in his own shot. Either here or Young.
Great job by Tyshawn Taylor using his big body at 6'3", 185, getting to the lane, and then the quick second jump to tip that basketball in.
8-point lead, 2 minutes to go.
And if you're Tech right now, you don't want to let this game get away from you. Your best guy, Jordan Tolbert's on the bench with 2 fouls. You want to keep this 10 or under. You've done a great job defensively for a majority of the half.
Willis was good early, turning that corner. Crockett can't get the follow. Young comes away, and Kansas has numbers. Young with the move and the stuff. 79 dunks this year for the Kansas Jayhawks. They lead by double digits.
Great look away by Taylor to the weak side, and then delivers the no-look pass to the trailing Young.
This game is very similar to Tech's Saturday game against Baylor. Lewandowski has had a really rough first half. No points and 4 turnovers.
And if Withey doesn't block a shot, he alters the shot. Lewandowski thought he had a clean look. Withey puts that big hand up there, changes the look.
Taylor gets rejected. It was Jay Crockett with some at-the-basket defense for Texas Tech. But again, Texas Tech has been called for a flagrant 1, flagrant 2. And also a Billy Gillespie technical. And Kansas has used that to get a 10-point lead. It might be more. Taylor drains the 3. Tyshawn Taylor, who was 1 for his last 9 coming in from 3-point range, puts Kansas up by 13 in lightning fashion.
And that's the facet of his game that he worked on the most this summer. Tyshawn Taylor, career mid-30 three-point percentage shooter. This year up to 44%. Spent time in Houston with John Lucas, training with him. Him and Elijah Johnson went down there, worked out. Now he's really spent all hours in the gym, really perfecting that three-point shot, and it's paid off for Tyshawn Taylor.
That is his first Big 12 make. He was 0 for 6 in the league coming in. But overall, it was 44%. And you mentioned he improved. Coming into this season, it was 38% in his career. So his number's up, even though it hasn't shown it in the 3 Big 12 games prior to that 3.
Yeah, and he's arguably the toughest player on this team. About a month ago, he had meniscus surgery, or tore his meniscus, played 2 games on a torn meniscus, had surgery the day after the Ohio State game, plays a week later against Davidson, hasn't missed a beat.
So Kansas with some breathing space. Nurse yet to score for Texas Tech, out of bounds off Kansas. So if you joined us late, the score misleading from the way this thing started. Tech had the pace and the effort, and Kansas in the last couple of minutes trying to pull away. This is off. Deshaun Big Jimenez out of bounds to Kansas. 7 turnovers on Texas Tech. And the Red Raiders are last in the Big 12 in turnover margin.
And Kansas has done a better job defensively. They didn't come out ready to play. Bill Self pulled out Robinson and Withey early in this game. Got things going in the right direction. Kind of helped also by Texas Tech getting a few technicals, which gave Kansas some momentum.
And Kansas has picked up this lead without Thomas Robinson, as he's over with Bill Self for the majority of the last 6 to 7 minutes. And here's Menace just fighting over the screen and pushing Kevin Young.
Well, that's just not a smart play, because Kansas is in the bonus. You have to fight over the screen, make them move into you. That was just Menace kind of giving up on the play. He just pushed the screener Kevin Young for no reason.
Kevin Young with his 4th point. You know, when he was at Loyola Marymount in the West Coast Conference, he broke their freshman basketball records. In fact, against St. Mary's, of course, one of the better teams in the West Coast Conference and one of the better non-BCS teams overall in the country. He had 27 in one game against them, and that'll get your attention.
Yeah, well, he's a great athlete. He gets up and down the floor. He actually has a really nice touch from the outside, as demonstrated by his free throw stroke there.
And Kansas, like all of a sudden, with a body blow here to Texas Tech, to lead by 15, and Tech will try to get something out of the last possession. Little Kevin Wagner, Lubbock native, turns it away, and Kansas on a huge roll to end the half. As the Jayhawks, Travis Relaford leading Kansas in the first half with 11 points. And the Jayhawks lead it by 15 at halftime. Now let's go to Anish Shroff along with Adrian Branch in our Sports Center U halftime report. Welcome back to Lubbock, Texas, and Wednesday Night Hoops on ESPNU. Kansas, number 10 in the country, and big lead here at halftime, and it was all at the end of the half, a 16-2 run. What about the stats?
Well, the thing about the stats that's really telling is Texas Tech has to score the basketball better. Defensively, they held Kansas to 30% from the field. So defensively, they've been great. So they have to get the ball to Tolbert, get him some touches early, try to get him going. But then also, let's talk about the technical, the flagrant foul 1, the flagrant foul 2, where Kansas got 11 points off of those foul situations, which really helped extend this lead out to 15 points.
If again you joined us late, there was a technical foul on Billy Gillespie early in the first half. Then a flagrant 1 foul on Teron Petaway. Then a flagrant 2 foul on Teron Petaway committed against Connor Tehan. And that meant an ejection, so Petaway off the floor. And Kansas not only will have a 15-point lead, they get the first possession of the second half and throw it away. Kansas is doing this and not getting much out of Player of the Year candidate Thomas Robinson. Only 5 points for T-Rob in the first half.
Yeah, they got contributions from other guys, and that's what you love to see from this Jayhawks team, because people have complained, or, you know, maybe the lack of depth this year, where Bill Self likes to play 9, 10 guys. This year, they're really in a 7 or 8 man rotation. And if you're getting production from other guys besides Thomas Robinson and you're up 15, Bill Self has to be happy about that.
And look at the season versus tonight. Again, averaging a double-double, 4th in the league in scoring, 1st in rebounding, and only 5 points tonight. And Relaford fouling for Kansas. Probably didn't have to because he had Withy waiting at the goal for Jay Crockett on a back cut. Mitch Holtis with you along with Miles Simon. 2 good friends, Bill Self and Billy Gillespie, going at each other tonight. Again, Bill Self hired Billy Gillespie to be his assistant at Tulsa, went with him to Illinois, and then Billy got the job at UTEP, built A&M into a power, then went to Kentucky, where he's SEC Coach of the Year.
And really, one of their first meetings ever, Mitch, was recruiting in Vegas. When they go to buy their coach's packet for the AAU event, Bill Self forgot his money and his checkbook. It's $300 for the coaching packet. He's in there with Gillespie. Gillespie doesn't want to give him money. He says, "Can you loan me the money? You know I'm good for it." Gillespie just shook his head, saying, "I'm not helping you out."
It was like $300 though, right? It wasn't like a $5 or something. You got $300?
But you know, Self was a head coach at the time. I'm sure he had it. So they made Self had to go to the bank and get the money out of the ATM. But that was before they even knew each other.
All right, Withy had a hustle play at the other end to get an easy bucket for Kansas. And now a miss for Texas Tech, and Kansas leading by 16. With the two-man game with the prophet Elijah Johnson and Tyshawn Taylor, easy too, slicing through the Texas Tech defense.
I love it. Penetration and kick by Elijah Johnson. Shot fake penetration. Lane opens up. Tyshawn Taylor. Great offense by the Jayhawks.
And Kansas breathing easily now after taking a shot to start this game.
Tolbert really working down there, and they're not giving him a touch. He has him on his back, but now the double team comes. They show a lot of respect for that young man.
Tolbert tries to lean in and get the call against Withy.
I think Tolbert, he can learn a lot from Thomas Robinson. When I talked to Robinson at practice, he said he's really learning how to play through double teams now this year, because earlier in his career, he obviously wasn't double teamed with the Morris twins there. As you see, he powers up, going to the line for the and one. Tolbert now, because he's been one of the better post players in the Big 12, and here we see Thomas Robinson gets his shot block, stays with it, follows up, uses his strength. He just powers Tolbert out of the way. Watch that shoulder go through Tolbert and knock him back, and Tolbert can't do anything to hold him down. But going back to the play on the other end, Tolbert needs to learn a little bit more patience in the post there, and Billy Gillespie telling him about that right now.
I want to ask you about Robinson, though. On your ESPN studio show this weekend, you saw him on a 60-foot dribble against Kansas State. I saw him against Long Beach. He hit like his first 3 17-footers. Now, if he does that, it's ridiculous. There's nothing you can do. But you saw this coming in the summer with Robinson.
I did. I had him on my ESPN.com first-team All-American in the preseason this year. Excellent drive by Nash with the contact and the finish. But I got a chance at the LeBron James Skills Academy, where the top players in the country go. Okay, he's working against the Plumlees, Jared Sullinger, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I'm missing one name out of there. And he was the dominant player out of the post players in that setting. Anthony Davis from Kentucky was there. But he dominated those guys because of his energy and effort. Every possession, he was involved in rebounding, running the floor, handling the ball, shooting. He actually had a dunk in a post drill against Mason Plumlee, where he knocked 2 teeth out and put one through Mason Plumlee's lip. That's how strong and how hard this guy plays every possession, and that's what really caught my eye on why I thought he would be an All-American this year.
With the easy. Got Lewandowski on his hip, and the rest is history.
Sorry, Mitchell. Those are those post angles we talk about that Danny Manning works with those post guys. Great seal by Withy. Excellent delivery on the pass.
Now at officials' time, they want to start the shot clock. And Billy Gillespie's team is now down to 21 points. After this thing was close until the end of the half, when Kansas went on a 16-2 run. Again, Tech has only lost once at home this year, and that was to Baylor on Saturday. But that thing was tight pretty much to the end. Relaford called for the kick.
And for the Red Raiders, number 3, Biggie Dennis, or Jerron Nash.
And Travis Relaford, another big night. 4 straight games in double figures for the Kansas City native.
And right now, Billy Gillespie, he uses each and every opportunity on the floor for these Red Raiders, whether it's shoot around, practice, game situations, for a lot of teaching to go on. Because so many young guys, so many new players, junior college transfers, freshmen on this roster, they're having to learn to just play hard, play aggressive, play with intensity each time out. And so that's a great learning opportunity for these young men. And Billy Gillespie, he will turn it around here, and probably in short order fashion.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument about that. If he does what he does, if he does here what he did at Texas A&M, I mean, 70 wins there, Sweet 16, and those were some of the toughest teams in the Big 12. I mean, from just a mental toughness standpoint, Kansas takes it away after the free throw miss. He had A.C. Law, Kavalauskas,
Antoine Wright.
Oh, man, those guys have played. Get in your grill every night. Robinson goes right at Lewandowski. That's a mismatch.
Thomas Robinson.
But you watch on that drive, Mitch, how we talked about the strongest players. Thomas Robinson has like boulders on his shoulder and his bicep, and he put his shoulder into Lewandowski, knocked him back about a foot, and that freed up the driving lane for the layup.
But again, I ask Andrea Hootie, is he the strongest Jayhawk ever? I got all kinds of tweets about it. And nothing like the Morris twins or your guy Sharon Collins.
But let's remember, there's also different types of strength. You know, Kevin Durant at the NBA training combine, couldn't bench 185. But Kevin Durant is definitely wiry, strong.
Yeah.
To be able to hold guys off and guard guys like LeBron in the NBA, I mean, that still takes a lot of strength. So I think there's different types of strength. There's weight room strength, and then there's also maybe natural basketball strength.
Well, you know what you're talking about. You trained Chris Bosh this summer, but you hear about functional strength all the time. And underneath, T-Rob, they missed the lob. Willis on the breakout. Taylor. And blocks the shot. Tyshawn Taylor with an incredible block on Javaris Willis.
I love it, and he timed it up. He knew he got his steps down to block that shot.
And a foul on Jay Crockett, now Texas Tech. He was just lurking.
And there's a timeout on the floor.
So Kansas, the huge lead, 46-24. But how about this play?
Tyshawn Taylor timing it from behind, but probably a goaltend. Ball hit the backboard first, Mitch.
Got by with one, but he was lurking behind in the taillights. 10th ranked Kansas by 22 on the road. Their biggest lead of the game. Thomas Robinson getting it going in the second half. Now, Miles, your best in class. Let's take a look. These are your top guys in every class. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, part of that awesome freshman class at Kentucky. Doug McDermott, second in the nation and scoring at 44 the other night. T-Rob in your junior class. And Draymond Green of Michigan State, your senior.
Yeah, I think you got to love Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He was a top 5 player in the country, but everyone came in talking about Anthony Davis because he's probably going to be the #1 pick in the draft. But Kidd-Gilchrist really worked on his shot this summer, shooting the ball at a high rate. Doug McDermott, Ames, Iowa. Okay, if you would think of the best sophomore in the country from Ames, Iowa, you'd probably think Harrison Barnes. But McDermott's been dominant. Thomas Robin is my leader for National Player of the Year. He's probably #1. Doug McDermott probably 1A, and then Draymond Green. Michigan State's won 15 in a row.
Yeah.
Their only 2 losses, Duke and North Carolina, and he's leading the way because he's a versatile power forward.
And you knew Tom Izzo's team was going to get rolling. But he's been able to, that senior class sometimes gets a little light on the database because the guy's leaving early. McGreen and Michigan State's had some great seniors. But McDermott's a real story here in the Midwest. And the best player among the non-BCS leagues, but he explodes for 44. He plays in the post like a post player. He plays in the perimeter like a perimeter player.
Yeah, but you see him come out, 58% from the three-point line this year. That's tremendous. He's just a mismatch problem for so many guys. If you put a smaller guy on him, he can go down low and go to work, and then you put a bigger guy on him, he can stretch you out with his perimeter shooting.
This was a game for the first 15 minutes. And then Kansas just ran away from Tech near the end of the half. And now Tech's just trying to get something to feel good about. But you mentioned these games are just like an extension of practice, really, for Billy Gillespie right now. Lewandowski's first bucket of the night.
And Lewandowski, the only senior on the team, he had a chance in the first half to shoot a couple of those shots. He made passes, which led to 3 turnovers.
Again, from Kansas City, played at Blue Valley West High School for Donnie Campbell. Real good program in the Kansas City metro area.
Look at this great side-to-side ball movement action. Leads to a perfect dunk. Excellent ball reversal. Kansas Jayhawks putting on a clinic offensively here in the second half, whereas in the first half, Texas Tech had a lot more energy. You can tell these young guys, look, their heads are down a little bit. Not as much energy, not as much bark right now by the Red Raiders.
No, they've ripped the heart away from Texas Tech. Crockett long, Elijah Johnson yet to score in the game. But he's been great in assists, and Robinson just beats Lewandowski to the goal. It's easy right now for Thomas Robinson.
And Billy Gillespie, that's just an effort play. Nobody sprinting back. A 40-foot chest pass to the wing. And then Thomas Robinson with the rim run. And here's the beautiful offense side to side, behind the back. Kevin Young with the drive, the dish, no rotation. Thomas Robinson getting it done for the Jayhawks.
Number 10, Kansas, routing young Texas Tech on the road, 51-26. But you go back to some critical moments in the first half where this thing got away from Tech.
Our ESPNU major moment tonight has just been the emotions of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Billy Gillespie gets a technical. Teron Petaway gets a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2 foul. He then gets ejected after the flagrant 2. 31-8, KU has outscored Texas Tech since the ejection. At the time of the first technical, it was only 9-8 KU. They got 11 points off of those 3 situations. The technical, the flagrant 1, the flagrant 2. That was the difference in the first half. It was a tight game all the way through. Kansas, towards the end of the half, was able to extend it out to 15 points, primarily because of the foul shooting and the emotions of the Texas Tech Raiders.
To your point, Miles, when Billy Gillespie got his bench technical, it was 9-8 Kansas. On the flagrant 1 foul, it was 14-14. On the flagrant 2 foul, it was 20-18 Kansas. He was still 26-20 with 2:44 to go in the half, and now Kansas is pulled away to a rout. But you mentioned Texas Tech learning how to play, but you got to learn how to play with your emotions. And if you give just a crack to the number 10 team in the country, they will blow you out like this.
Wow.
Elijah Johnson.
Impressive play by both guys. Thomas Robinson, the big guy handling the ball and able to deliver the pass off the dribble. Something that a lot of big guys can't do. And then Elijah Johnson, one of the better athletes, goes up and throws it down.
And Tolbert's been quiet. Just 4 points in this game. The post presence of Kansas made it hard on him tonight.
And Robinson's really picked up his activity level here in the second half. Saddled with 2 fouls in the first. This is a guy who has some of the best energy in the country, one of the best motors in the country, and just a lazy pass.
And for the Red Raiders, number 30, Jay Crockett, number 5, Dean Willis.
Look at Thomas Robinson. He has his head up like a PG on a swivel. Then he knows he has Elijah Johnson, one of the better athletes on this Jayhawk team. Throws it up perfectly to the side of the basket. Excellent delivery by Robinson on the lob.
Usually that's flip-flop, though. It's Elijah Johnson delivering to Thomas Robinson. Johnson came into the game 19 assists, just 4 turnovers in Big 12 play. And tonight he's continued that, but he gets the benefit of the lob dunk. Kevin Wagner in now, again the freshman from here in Lubbock. His dad a high school coach in the city. And right now nothing is happening for Texas Tech. Robinson hits a 3. Thomas Robinson hits a 3.
Let me tell you this, Mitch. I did their game against North Dakota. That was the only other game that he hit a 3 in. So I've seen both 3s in Thomas Robinson's career. But that's something that he's worked on. He's been a gym rat. Coach Bill Self saying he's staying late night, coming early in the morning, working on his shooting. He has extended his range. And Danny Manning talked about his skill set. It's much better than what you see on a normal game-to-game basis.
2 for 5 in his career now from 3. So are you going to the game against Iowa State Saturday, or are you going to be in studio?
Well, T-Rob might want me there if he's going to keep knocking down 3s.
Tech goes to A&M on Saturday. Again, they're going to have to do it without Petaway with the flagrant 2 and ejection. Now Lewandowski gets fouled underneath.
And there's a timeout on the floor.
The prophet, Elijah Johnson from Robinson. And Kansas right now with a laugher on the South Plains. Kansas leads by 30. Thomas Robinson and his teammates have outscored Texas Tech by 20 in the paint with 30 in-paint points. Now the ESPNU numbers you need to know in the Big 12. Baylor, if there's, I'm not going to say they're underrated because they're 4th in the country, but there's not enough talk about these guys, I don't think.
Baylor's had some of the best wins in the country, maybe the best resume wins in the country. West Virginia on the neutral court, St. Mary's, at BYU, at Kansas State, Mississippi State on a neutral court.
San Diego State, which is a very good win for them. They played a great schedule. Now, they got Oklahoma State Saturday in Waco, but look at Big Monday. They go to Allen Fieldhouse, and that will be a very tasty Big Monday game.
Oh, it's going to be rocking in there in Fog Allen. You think of Perry Jones, the third, versus Thomas Robinson, the power forwards matching up. But the matchup to watch in that game is going to be Tyshawn Taylor and Pierre Jackson, who comes off the bench for Baylor. Pierre Jackson, candidate for 6th man of the year, 48% 3-point field goal shooter, but he's a big shot maker. hit a big three to tie West Virginia, send it in overtime where they got the victory, hit a game-winning layup against Mississippi State in Dallas to win that game. He was the Junior College National Player of the Year last year at College of Southern Idaho.
You didn't mention Quincy Acey. There's going to be some physics questions. Is that a three? It's a three from Nadir Tharp. That he is. Came in 1 of 13 from 3. And Tharp, who has really struggled in his freshman season, everything happened tonight for Kansas. There's a back up the 1-4 high. And Jadaris Willis, who had 6 early, gets his first 2 since that point.
Well, a positive and a negative on each end for Tharp. He knocks down the 3, but then he gets beat on the backdoor cut on the other end. He has to be in better positioning down in the stance ready to play.
I'm going to revisit a couple of those other headlines in the Big 12 because we didn't talk about Marcus Denman. Missouri got a gigantic win tonight at Iowa State. And I'll be at Allen Fieldhouse Saturday. And what I can't wait to see is Iowa State and Kansas, because Royce White and colliding, talk about physics, when he gets to mix it up with Thomas Robinson inside. Because Royce White now is a moose. A triple-double the other night at Texas A&M.
Well, he's one of the most versatile players in the league. At 6'8", 270 pounds of muscle, can handle the basketball, bring it up, run the point, plays point forward. They spread it out with those shooters that Fred Hoiberg loves and all those transfers. They're going to be a team to reckon with, trying to sneak into that top half of the Big 12.
His triple-double were points, rebounds, assists for a 6'7", 270-pound guy. Crockett back to the line. A foul on Kevin Young. Is now Bill Self able to play his bench. A bunch here. And again, this isn't a deep team for Kansas this year.
But I think Bill Self had a great quote on depth when he was talking to me. He said depth is a great thing, but it's not great because of injuries or foul problems that you can put other guys in the game. It's great because when guys don't play the way you want them to, then you don't have to play them. And I thought that was a great point that people don't really think about. You know, he doesn't have the luxury where if Tyshawn Taylor or Thomas Robinson is not playing well, that he can keep those guys out for extended periods of time. Because remember, 2 freshmen, Ben McLemore and Jamari Traylor, didn't qualify. They're now practicing, but those are 2 guys that would definitely be in the rotation for the Jayhawks. They've been practicing for about the last month, which has really brought up the level of intensity and everything for the Jayhawks in practice.
Tyshawn Taylor with the bucket. KU up by 31. Hey, it happened tonight. He was angry with his inside guys early. He pulled Withy and Robinson out of the game.
Yeah, and Ben McLemore, he's a guy that would have contended maybe for a starting spot on this Jayhawk roster. He's a versatile wing from St. Louis, can really shoot it, excellent athlete, great size at 6'6", but now they're getting to practice and they're getting more experience.
Tharp turns down a wide open 2 to try to give Tehan a 3. Jay Crockett's hurt. He twisted his body awkwardly in the lane as he posted up. Now a turnover by Tehan. As Willis trailing on the 3. And we've got noon ball at the Y with 9:06 to go, and Kansas leading 61-30.
And for Bill Self, you just want to see execution now. You don't want to see guys getting too cute like Tehan on the last pass. Take care of the basketball, get a quality shot.
Tehan wants the 3 and finally gets it. It's his first field goal of the night. He had 2 technical foul shots in the first half.
Just continue to play smart basketball, play within the rhythm of the team.
34, and Texas Tech cannot stop the bleeding here at home. Crockett feels better. He's healed. But not healed enough to get a good shot. Tehan just hit one. He wants another one.
And right now, Texas Tech is just getting outworked on both ends of the floor. Kansas dominating. But these are going to be teaching points. Great film session points for the Red Raiders tomorrow before practice.
Not just film session. It's when you get to the floor, brother, with Billy Gillespie. Get ready.
Yeah, but I think the thing, when you see yourself play, sometimes you don't know the mistakes that you're making during a game. But when you see it again on tape, that's the real teaching point. And then you go out and execute it on the floor, and you try to get better every day in practice. And that's what Billy Gillespie will preach to this young Red Raider squad.
With Billy, it could be on the floor. Go watch tape. Back to the floor. This could be one of those nights after the gym clears. He's like, well, let's go back and look at some of these situations. He's such a technician and such a basketball junkie that a 36-point loss goes right to Billy's soul. He's not in the mood for many of these, I'm going to tell you that. and hasn't had many in his career. Taylor deep three. This is off. Kansas, but Tyshawn Taylor a quiet 15 tonight. That's right at his average. He didn't even score here last year against Texas Tech in 25 minutes. Tonight, a different story. Kansas with 19 points off turnovers, and they're blowing out Texas Tech here in Lubbock, 66-30 with still 7:09 to play. Sunday night, it's ACC Hoops at ESPNU. This week, Seth Curry, the #6 Duke Blue Devils, go to Clemson. Andre Young, Tanner Smith. ACC Sunday night basketball presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Watch on ESPNU, ESPN3, as well as streaming live on WatchESPNU.com and the Watch ESPN app at 6 Eastern. Coverage begins with the ACC Sunday night pregame show at 5:30. Now, you talked about Carolina earlier, but what about Virginia and young Mr. Bennett, what he's doing there?
Well, Coach Bennett, Tony Bennett's a guy that when I was assistant coach at Arizona, got to coach against when he was at Washington State. He does a great job defensively. Pack line defense where they don't allow penetrating passes or drives to the hoop. 50 points a game is all they give up on the season. Have held 8 or less opponents to 50 or less during the season. It'll be a tough matchup against Duke. Let's see if Duke can hit threes against that pack line defense.
Dick Bennett for years, and Tony Bennett continued it, said, I will never have a post guy beat me. They always say that with that pack line defense, meaning you're going to have to hit shots over the top of them, but they're so good at keeping people in front of them.
And remember, that's the strength of Duke. Austin Rivers, Curry, Dawkins, Ryan Kelly. So they'll have to extend that out a little bit past the three-point line because those guys can really shoot it.
Clemson could get on in that game. They could get a little nasty at home against Duke. Well, here, Kansas has been nasty after it was a 6-point game with 2:44 to go in the first half. That was 26-20 at that point. Tech has scored 10 points since that mark.
And we haven't seen much of Tolbert here in the second half. He's on the bench right now with 3 personal fouls, but he's 2 for 6 from the field. A young man who came in probably maybe playing the best of all the freshmen in the Big 12 Conference.
Well, they're going to put in their secret weapon now, and he's really one of the interesting stories in the Big 12. This is Luke Adams. He's from Big Spring, Texas. He's only 5'9". Luke was born deaf. He is legally deaf, but he has cochlear implants. The headband is there to keep things in place for him. But he's really, you watch him in practice, he has no fear. He works as hard as anybody Tech has, and it's just a profile and courage that he's even on the floor.
Yeah, and he's a shooter. Averaged 27 points a game in high school. His dad is actually the head coach at Howard College. He plays kind of like a coach's son, has a high basketball IQ. Billy Gillespie really loves him.
Actually had 15 against Grambling. But again, legally deaf. And on this Texas Tech roster.
And I think there's 2 players in college basketball. Great job by Tharp delivering that pass on the money to Tehan. But I've done games with Cal State Northridge over the last couple of years. They have a young man named Michael Lizarraga. He does not have the implants. He has a translator that does sign language to him during the games, translating what the coach is trying to communicate during timeouts and halftime and pregame to him. So I think they'll believe those are the only 2 deaf players in NCAA Division I basketball.
Willis was doing this early in the game. They translate everything?
Translate everything.
Everything?
I think he can
everything a coach says.
I think he can read lips on the other stuff.
Okay. Tharp hit a 3 earlier. He's got 2 for the year. He's probably thinking about another one.
Well, this is great experience for Tharp. Excellent playing time. He's going to get probably maybe close to double-digit minutes tonight. But this is the chance. Maybe Elijah Johnson or Tyshawn Taylor turns an ankle. Tharp is the guy they're going to have to go through in that situation sometime in the league if somebody's to get hurt. Played at Brewster Academy. Played with Thomas Robinson in high school. Brewster Academy, one of the strongest prep schools in all of the nation.
5:07 to go. Kansas all over Texas Tech here. Saturday, ESPNU has a full day of college basketball starting at noon in the A-10. The Bonnies of St. Bonaventure, fresh off their win tonight against Dayton. That's a heck of a win for St. Bonaventure, are visiting Xavier, trying to get things going after losing 5 of 7. Then at 2 o'clock, Big East rivals collide. So Ashton Gibbs and Pitt will battle Darius Johnson-Odom and number 24 Marquette. It's the Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy on ESPNU, ESPN3, as well as streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app.
Mitch, and when you're talking about Xavier and Pitt, those are 2 teams that you say, what happened to them? They were top 10 in the country in November into early December. Obviously, Xavier, ever since the brawl with Cincinnati, the dynamics of that team have somehow changed. Holloway didn't score a point in a game last week. They've been really struggling. They're 3-5 since then. Pitt has had a transfer, Kem Birch, who was a McDonald's All-American, leave and go to UNLV. They're really struggling. But 2 teams that you thought, I mean, people were talking about Xavier going to the Final Four in early December.
Young, Kansas runs that slip. Maybe as good as anybody in the country, and they get that side game going. Now, let's say Bonaventure beating Dayton tonight, though. That's one you got to really mention, because Dayton's got some nice wins this year.
Coached by Archie Miller, brother Sean Miller, coaching at Arizona. But St. Bonaventure has one of the best players in the country, Andrew Nicholson. Big-time scorer, power forward. And here's a nice play on the slip on the pick and roll. Caught out of position defensively, no help. Excellent pass delivered on the money by Tehan to Young.
There will be better nights for Texas Tech with Billy Gillespie as the coach. Just count on it. But tonight, not one of them. Jordan Juneman in the game now, the senior from Hays, Kansas. A 3-second violation called on Justin Wesley of Kansas. Kansas will play Iowa State Saturday in Lawrence. Iowa State losing tonight at home to Missouri, 76-69. That went right down to the wire. But Iowa State is much improved. Those transfers are starting to mesh together, even though they lost tonight at home. There's a hold inside.
I was very impressed with Iowa State when we did their game last week.
It's Texas, yeah.
Their ability to shoot the 3. They have 4 transfers in the starting lineup. Chris Allen, Chris Babb, Scott Christopherson, Royce White. Then they bring Anthony Booker off the bench, the Southern Illinois transfer. He's really gotten that group to mesh well. They built a lot of chemistry on scout team last year together.
Lammert, the freshman from San Antonio, is both teams. Billy Gillespie clearing the bench, and Lammert gets only his 5th point of the season. Not a good night for Billy against his old friend, Bill Self.
Lammert has a brother, big-time player in San Antonio that's going to UT next year, Connor Lammert. I actually got to coach against an AAU ball this summer. He actually kind of hit us up. He's an excellent 3-point shooter for his size, about 6'9". Great feel for the game.
Under 4 to go. Tharp has already hit a 3. How about 2? 1 of 13 before tonight. 2 in just the last couple of minutes. 2 for 3 from 3.
And Mitch, Tharp takes a lot of wrath from Coach Self in practice, because Coach Self's hard on his point guards and he wants them to excel. But this is not only a confidence booster for Tharp, as Luke Adams, the shooter that we talked about, knocks it down from deep. But it's a confidence builder for Bill Self to be able to play Tharp more minutes, because he's executing the offense and knocking down shots.
We'll give Luke Adams credit. The legally deaf Texas Tech Red Raider, but again, Nadir Tharp. But then Luke Adams answers in 3 for 3. 76-39, Kansas all over this one.
Coming up on College Basketball Live after the game, a couple of Big 12 teams hit the road. We'll show you how they fared. Top-ranked Syracuse needed its bench to come through in Philadelphia, and Kentucky with a stiff road test against Auburn. All that after the game.
Thanks, Anish. You and Adrian and Miles talk amongst yourself, because it's Thomas Robinson. Did he win the New Hampshire primary as National Player of the Year at this point?
Well, he really turned it up in the second half tonight. Now he's at his averages, basically 19 and 12. He was all over the place, much more aggressive and assertive in the second half. Came out flat in the first half. He gave up some baskets defensively, but this is why this young man has the best motor in the country. Rebounds, runs the floor, finishes, great teammate. Really learned a lot going against the Morris twins and Cole Aldrich his last couple years here in a KU uniform.
Nico Roberts in the game. Of course, his dad, Norm Roberts, was a head coach at St. John's. Now he's on Florida's staff. And a longtime ally of Bill Self.
His dad coached with Self at the University of Illinois.
Yes. 76-39, Kansas, still 2:45 to go. Lammert is going to the line. He gets fouled by Merv Lindsay. Andrea Hootie, I want to talk about her now. I asked her this week, is Thomas Robinson the strongest? She mentioned the Morris twins. She mentioned Sharon Collins. She's the associate director at Kansas for strength and conditioning. You don't see a female in that role many times with a men's basketball team. She's a take no prisoners. You don't sass Andrea. What she says is goes. All right, you do it.
And I've seen it firsthand in practices, the pregame warm-ups. The guys are very attentive. They respect what she says. She knows what she's talking about. One of the best in the business. If you're working at a big-time program, you definitely are an elite strength and conditioning coach.
Well, and let's mention, you talk about, and there's a nice stick back. Jerron Nash for tack. Gets the putback. But you mentioned how Danny Manning works with the bigs in this program. We've seen guys progress. But part of it is what they do in the weight room. You also mentioned what he did this summer at those summer camps. But to grow like they do in the weight room is a real credit to what Andrea does for Bill Self. And there's some good ones in this league. Lindsay underneath for Kansas. Merv Lindsay gets two.
Well, nice pass there by Jordan Juneman, the walk-on.
Lammert, a little up and under. So now we have the Wednesday night fraternity game going on here. Lindsay testing fate. Just hit two. I'll try three. It's Bean Willis still doing it in there. Like, I'm going to try to take advantage of this and try to up my scoring total. Juneman already has a job in the KU athletic department. Nico Roberts. Not so much. Kansas, huge win tonight against Texas Tech. Rough night for Billy Gillespie's crew.
Well, even if you're a walk-on scholarship guy on the floor in this situation, the coaches want to see you execute, take good shots. They're giving you some minutes for a reason. I used to have Lute Olson sometimes pull a walk-on out of the game if he had taken a bad shot, because you want to coach these guys. If you're Bill Self, Billy Gillespie, you coach the first guy on the roster, just like the last guy, Nadir Tharp, building confidence in Coach Self to play him some more as this Big 12 season goes along. And remember, the season is now different. It's a true round robin in this league. So Nadir Tharp could become a factor at some point.
I want to ask you about the dynamics of the 18-game schedule. In fact, Doug Bell wrote a blog on the Big 12 website about it. That was your life, man. I mean, the old Pac-10, you played 18 league games. You had those pairs. You played Thursday, Saturday. But the dynamics of an 18-game league schedule, what happens? What do you have to do to succeed?
Well, I love it because you get everyone home and home. You know, there's no more, we didn't go to Texas this year. Texas didn't go to Missouri. You know, you get to see everyone on their home floor. You know, the difference was us. We had travel partners in the Pac-10.
An intentional foul called here. This is going to be on Biggie Minnis. With 22 seconds left in the game, in a blowout game, Minnis is called for an intentional foul on Nico Roberts.
And Coach Gillespie asking, what are you doing?
Nico Roberts, shooting two.
But I think going back to the true round robin format, I think it's the best. Now the Big 12 is the only Power 6 conference in the country that has the true round robin format, because the Pac-12 now expanded this year. So teams will miss each other on that end. But I love the fact that you have to play each and every opponent home and away. I think you get a true champion in the league when you have it that way.
No question. Nico Roberts just had a chance for his first points of the year with 2 foul shots. on the intentional foul and missed them both. And now Kansas can just dribble it out. Bill Self respects Billy Gillispie so much. He's got to be happy with the way his team responded after he was unhappy with the Kansas team, the way he responded. But you know what? Beating a friend like this isn't going to be Bill Self's idea of a good time.
Yeah, it's not easy when you have to play a guy that you're so close to and spend a lot of time with, who's worked for you. I know coaches in the country that will not play a friend or a guy that they formerly worked with. These two guys are in the same conference, so they have to do it. But much respect for both coaches.
Kansas was challenged early and then just ran away from Texas Tech. 81-46, the number 10 team in the country with the victory. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Miles Simon, our entire crew, Mitch Holtis, good night from Lubbock, Texas. And now Anish Sharaf with College Basketball Live.
Coming up on College Basketball Live, a couple of Big 12 teams going on the road. We'll show you how Missouri and Kansas responded. Number 1 Syracuse leaving Villanova bruised and battered on the streets of Philadelphia, while Kentucky ran into some trouble against Auburn but still managed to score its first road win of the season. Welcome to College Basketball Live alongside the former Maryland great Adrian Branch. I'm Anish Sharaf. Over the next half hour, we will show you all the highlights from Wednesday's top 25 action. We kick things off in Ames, Iowa. Missouri coming off that road loss to Kansas State, their first of the season, going to Iowa State. And in the first half, Iowa State holding its own. Scott Christopherson, right before the first half buzzer from beyond half court.
Counted their best three-point shooter. He does it again.
He was terrific in the second half, too. Christopherson, 4 of 6 from downtown, finished with 19 points. That three tied the game at 43, but then Missouri, they go about 6-7 deep, but a lot of firepower in that 6-7. Michael Dixon had 12 off the bench. Phil Pressey at 12, 6 players in double figures.
They attack you. Their assist to turnover is fantastic. 16 assists to 10 turnovers. They don't beat themselves, and they continue to come at you if you leave them open at the three-point line.
Bounce back win for Missouri. They shot 52% from the field, plus 11 on the glass. First conference loss for Iowa State. Michigan at home for Northwestern. And before the game, that's the Michigan football team being honored. They had a Sugar Bowl win. That was Denard Robinson. Watch that trophy.
It's a big, heavy trophy.
No one's taking that trophy from him.
Big, heavy one.
Second half, score tied at 44. Zach Novak finishing in transition. Michigan outscored Northwestern 19-8 to open the second half. Tim Hardaway Jr. at 19. That tied the game at 54.
That's where he's dangerous, where he can elevate right there. But Drew Crawford, very athletic, gets tied up and traveling.
That's steps. With 1.5 seconds left, we would go to overtime. Michigan ball. Watch Trey Burke, the freshman point guard on the offensive glass.
Well, a little dust up right there. But this was a scrappy performance by Northwestern. And Hardaway, what are you doing, young man?
He fouls Alex Marco Tullio on a three-point shot. Marco Tullio missed the first, made the second, had to miss the third. Time runs out. Michigan gets the win, hanging on 66-64. Kentucky going to Auburn. You'd think this would be, what do you call it, a bop game?
You'd think it would be a bop game.
Not quite. Kentucky looking for that first road win of the year. Rob Chubb at 14, Auburn by 1. Right before the half, Darius Miller. Bingo.
Great concentration by the senior leadership.
That didn't break Auburn, though. They still hung in for most of the second half. Kenny Gabriel, the putback. Auburn only down 2. And then with about 5 minutes left, Kentucky started to wake up. The bear coming out of hibernation.
Talent. You have talent. This was a scrappy performance. And then this shot was huge again. Darius Miller, Deron Lamb hitting huge shots on the road.
Kentucky closed the game on a 23-6 run. Big game for Anthony Davis, the freshman, 14.6 rebounds, 4 blocks. Kentucky gets its first true road win of the year. Here's John Calipari.
Yeah, we didn't execute a few times, which drove me crazy. They beat us to a bunch of balls. You can't win on the road that way. They out-rebounded us in the first half by 10 rebounds. You're not going to win on the road that way. You know, we didn't attack the way we... There's a lot of good stuff that we can take from the tape. We were lucky to get out of here alive.
Well, this was the difference. Auburn hung in, and then the final 12-18 of the game, 25-8. Auburn just 2 field goals, 0 for 6 from downtown. Remember, Auburn was up by 2 before Kentucky went on this run. We will break down this game later on College Basketball Live. Top-ranked Syracuse going to Villanova. Cuse, they got a lot of Philly flavor on their team. Scoop Jardine, Deion Waiters, Cousins, Philadelphia natives. Rakeem Christmas, a freshman.
From Philadelphia.
Also from Philadelphia, kind of fitting. He would get the first basket of the game off the nice look from Jardine. Christmas, 5 points in 8 minutes. All of Syracuse's top 3 scores in this game?
Off the bench.
Off the bench.
That's how deep they are. Deion Waiters, I say he's first team all Big East, coming off the bench as the 6th man.
Waiters had 20, Joseph with 8. Not a single Syracuse starter in double figures, but that's okay.
Team is balanced and its attitude. Look at the attitude, the body language, and the confidence. Jay Wright said we've got to be confident against Syracuse because they're a confident team.
18-0 now for the Orange, their best start in program history, under Jim Boeheim at least. 19-0, that was in the 99-2000 season, got to the Sweet 16. St. John's taking on Marquette. You love the suit.
Oh, Buzz. He's a confident young man. Way to go, Coach.
Reminds me of vaudeville, doesn't it? Sir Dominic Pointer on the break. He had 7. St. John's up by 4. And then God's gift to Chua. Best name in college basketball.
Absolutely. In the first half, it was competitive. It was close. But it's a tale of 2 halves. And this is when you have that ability to run out and get spurts on turnovers.
We saw this in the second half. Defense leading the offense for Marquette.
Yeah, and Marquette, again, when you have Jay Crowder that was hitting big shots. You had Todd Mayo. This was a complete performance. Great job, a bounce-back game for Marquette.
Speaking of bouncing back, Pittsburgh's got to bounce back.
Oh,
home for Rutgers. Nice spin move by Darius Miller. 11 points for him. Rutgers up by 4. Nasir Robinson to nobody. That's a Pitt turnover. One of 15 turnovers for Pitt. Eli Carter, the 3. He had 14. Pittsburgh was 4 of 31 from the field in the first half. Digest that.
We don't know this Pittsburgh team that if you look at the last 7 years, Pittsburgh is known for what? Toughness. And look at the body language right there. They look like a beaten team right now.
21% from the field for the game. Pittsburgh going down.
This is a nightmare now for Pittsburgh and their fans. And looking around this arena, Dickie, I see a lot of pain in the faces.
62-39. Pittsburgh losing to Rutgers. They're 0-4 in the Big East. Fewest points by Pitt in a Big East game.
You can hear the boos. And what it is, it's the collective effort. They're not shooting the basketball well. They need the leadership. Ashton Gibbs is expected to be an All-American candidate. We haven't seen that consistency. Jamie Dixon has to look out at his team and say, guys, I know how to coach. I've had the most wins in the Big East in the last 7 years. Why don't you execute the game plan? They don't have that toughness that we're used to seeing.
Numbers you need to know. Let's start with 31. Providence beat Louisville by 31 on Tuesday. It was the second worst loss for Louisville in the Rick Pitino era. And a 31-point win, the largest for Providence over a ranked team since 1978. We're so used to seeing both Pittsburgh and Louisville competing for a Big East title, being right up there at the top. And then this year, I mean, Louisville got off to the great start. They've lost 4 of 5 since. Pittsburgh's a mess right now. They're 0-4
First
in the Big East.
First cousins right now. Well, I was looking at the film yesterday and saying for Louisville, they didn't have that toughness. We didn't see a Rick Pitino team that we're used to seeing where they're scrappy, they're feisty, they're taking the game to you. You saw them getting dunked on. You're seeing Providence dominate them, and it's all about the attitude. It's a checkup from the neck up. It's all about the disposition for Louisville, for Pittsburgh. Now, the tradition has been been set high, guys. It's been set high. The coaches are fantastic. In fact, that's 1 and 2 in the last 7 years for the most wins. And right now, it's sorely missing, and it starts with the heart. They need to go see the Wizard of Oz and get their heart checked.
They do. Well, there's no yellow brick road. Right now, they don't even have a guarantee their compass works. All right, we got more to do here on College Basketball Live. When we come back, AB's going to break down Syracuse. What makes this bench so good?